All right, here we go. Hey everyone, how we all doing on this beautiful Sunday? I'm still collecting all the questions. Shouldn't take too long. Hey yo! How's it going, Tim? Our water conduit is broken in the entire town. Feeling kind of meh without my morning shower. Oh shit! The entire town is without water. I hope it gets fixed soon, man. Get yourself that cozy morning blanket. Blanket of hot water just to wake you up. Or fall back asleep. That's an option too, right? Okay, I got a bunch of questions from Derek, which is good. Just in the cyberpunk slum. Oh, me too, man. I've been playing way too long this evening. I think I overdid it. I think I went to sleep at like 4 or 5 or something. Last question from Edric. This one's all from Dirk. Alright, cool. So we got them all. I just need to check the anonymous questionnaire and then we can go. I mean, if you have any questions yourself, you can start putting them in the chat as well, right? Looking. We answered these two last. Oh, this is an interesting one. Yeah, woke up to some construction work and thought, who the fuck is doing construction work on a Sunday? Turns out they were... Oh, Jesus. Sleep all day if I had no water. Yeah, just surrender for the day. Just not wake up. So are you enjoying Cyberpunk as well then, Maha? Sunday. Oh, we just did like an entire podcast episode about it. Me and Will. Just 2 hours straight talking about Cyberpunk. That's coming out in like a couple of days. Oh! We got the standard sound again? What's happening? Oh, it's because I'm using a different template. Okay, that makes sense. Kero Goodbrand, thanks for the follow, man. That is so loud, though. Oh. Okay, I need to fix this template then. $60 hours of playtime. Damn. Yeah, I think I'm coming up to 45. Oh, is it doing like the sketchy mic thing again? Because I looked into it yesterday and I fixed it, so I don't know what's happening here now. Yeah, if someone else has an issue with like a sketchy mic, just let me know. What does sketchy mic even mean? I don't know, maybe the issue that I was having yesterday was that it was robotic. Like it was crackly and robotic. I don't know if that is the same thing that's happening today, but not sensitive enough. Hmm. Oh, okay. I see. I'm just gonna get rid of the noise gate temporarily then. I'll fix that. I'll fix that off stream. I don't want to be doing that here. Okay. It's time to dig into some questions. You're gonna hear me stirring my tea in the background now, but that's all good. All right. Let's dive into some questions, right? For the people in the chat, if you have any questions, feel free to drop any of them, and I'm gonna go through them after we do like the community questions. Oh God. Okay, here we go. First question is from Zeku3D. Why do environments do a lot of rock sculpting? Is it important to focus on instead of learning other more non-specific things? I think the reason why a lot of people focus on rock sculpting because it's like the entry to sculpting in general. So I think people treat it as like their first test to getting into sculpting, where I think a lot of people mistake it for something being super easy, and then once they get into it, like their underestimation is clearly shown by how much work it actually takes to create like good looking rocks in 3D. But I would say it's probably just because of that. Like it's a good entry to sculpting in general. Am I doing the questions chronologically? Yes. Did I miss one? Oh, I missed one. Sorry, man. Let me sneak that in. Thanks for bringing it up. I wasn't looking up high enough. But yeah, I think that's basically it for rock sculpting. It's just yeah, it's just easy. Well, it's technically the most easy thing to get into because it's like a separate thing. Like it's a completely standalone thing that you can just focus on the sculpting instead of like getting a good base mesh and then doing like a slide pass in ZBrush or anything like that. So I think that's why. Mid poly. Yeah. So let's talk about mid poly then, right? I've heard the term mid-poly workflow thrown around a lot lately. Can you explain or demonstrate what it is and how it differs from the traditional high to low poly workflow? So basically the high to low poly workflow, just a quick recap, right? You're baking down all the information that you get from the high poly onto the low poly version, which is more optimized for the game engine. With a mid poly workflow, you're actually trying to circumvent the high poly in general. You're making use of just the normals from your mesh, and you're adding detail on top of it with either trim sheet textures or decals. The best example for that is if you look at the stuff that Star Citizen is doing. The base mesh is just a higher detailed mesh that is just using a tileable on top of it, and then they add details with like parallax occlusion mapped decals to create these little insets or little outcroppings that you see on like some of the mesh sections itself, or like some of the pieces of the mesh. So Yeah, that's basically it. It's a way more non-destructive way of working, where if you want to do adjustments to like the base shape in like the high to low poly workflow, you have to go back to the high poly, adjust it, to the low poly, adjust it, make sure that it fits the high poly again, and then bake it down again. Whereas if you want to adjust the shape in like a mid poly workflow, you would just do that on the fly. Just redo like a small section of the UVs, which is super easy because it's mapped to a tileable anyway. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is its textile density, and just that it's scaled proportionally to like all the other assets in your scene. And then you're good to go. Like all the, well, adjust the decals too, right? But that isn't that big of a deal if you compare it to like adjusting the high poly. There are a lot of good of examples for that. Star Citizen is a good one, and I think I saw a kit yesterday from Destiny 2 that was really good as well. They were using the same sort of workflow that what is this, Star Citizen uses for that specific kit. I don't know if they use it for a lot of the game. I assume so, but Star Citizen is probably like the one that really goes the furthest in it. Yep, Alien Isolation 2. There's probably like a lot of examples if you start looking for it. But yeah, like the stuff that they're doing with Star Citizen is, when it comes to this, is just crazy. Because they have like specific methods of like rendering their decals. They look so good, like even when they're coming out of the object, which is usually like the trickiest thing if you're working with parallax occlusion map details. Because it's gonna offset the pixels basically. So it will try to create depth by faking an offset on like this your pixels on your screen. And it looks so damn good in Star Citizen. Like they did a really good job, and they have entire trim sheets with like those details on it, so they can easily map it to like a spline that goes over like certain sections of your mesh or something like that. But yeah, basically, mid poly is just like a way to circumvent the high poly. A big important thing with that is using what are they called again? Face weighted normals are a big thing with that as well, because you wanna get the best and accurate representations on the bevels that you're gonna model into the object right now, instead of the standard smoothing where it's trying to smooth like the mesh all over. This is gonna prefer the faces, and then from the faces on, it will basically start. It goes from a straight point to another straight point on the other face, and then it will smoothen the normals in between. So it gets you some really nice looking edges because they basically look correct. I hope that makes sense. That's also like an important part of it. Yeah, there's like a ton of cool stuff that you can do there. It's a little bit more technical than like the stereotypical setup, right? It's not just dragging in the texture maps and that's it. Usually there's like multiple UV channels to overlay the decals, or like overlay like a material on top of the base material. So it's a little bit more technical, but once you set up the shaders and you have it working, it's way easier to just apply it to like a bunch of objects. And then yeah, it's just easier in iteration too. It would be cool to do like a demonstration, like you said. So it sounds like it's mainly used for sci-fi environments with hard surfaces. I'm trying to think about an example where it's not just sci-fi surfaces. I mean, you could technically use it on like a lot of stuff. It just depends on how you're gonna do the decals then. So say you have like thinking about examples with like rock pillars where you could work with like edge edge damage decals. And if you handle them really smartly, you can get away with just having like a mid poly workflow for those too. Because the large surfaces are just going to be the titleable, where you just extrude some of the edges to make it look like it fits the titleable that you put on it. And then on the edges themselves, you can start playing with decals again to create some of those damaged edges. So you can use it for other surfaces as well, like other environments, but it becomes a little bit more tricky. Yep. Yeah, I assumed so. Like if they use the workflow for like other stuff, I assumed that they did for like the natural piece as well. So they probably have like a really detailed, like compared to like your stereotypical normal, to your stereotypical low poly, they probably have like a higher detailed mesh that they then add stuff on top on with like decals for the cracks and crevices. Good point. All right. That's a good question. I think a lot of people don't really know what that is just yet, even though a lot of games are starting to apply it or like their own version of it. You can see that in a lot of I don't know if it's technically the same if you start building non-important meshes, like non-gameplay essential meshes in like open world games. They will try to use some of the same techniques where they don't want to have like unique normal maps for every object in the game, because that is just gonna add like textures galore, right? Like it's just gonna bloat like the amount of textures that you're gonna have in the entire game. Where if you have a base set of textures that you can just blend with each other and then change the color from, make it really versatile in the way that you can blend them, and then maybe add like a mask onto it, right? To just have a little bit of a transition on certain spaces, then you're not using a unique normal map, but you're still getting an object that looks fairly good, especially for simple stuff like a normal chair or like a simple wooden table or something like that, right? You can just build that with titleables and like blending masks and all that. God of War uses decals for the trees. That way they could use the same textures but have variations still. Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's sort of the same thing that I was saying with the other non-gameplay essential props. Just building up like a texture library for them, and then spice it up with decals. And then if you wanna add something else, you can just swap out the decals and the textures, and then you have like a new tree. All right, good question. Let's sprinkle in some random stuff from Derek. I appreciate these questions, Derek. I really do. Really nice to break it up. So, what's my favorite type of pancake? I'm just gonna go like normal. I'm not really a fan of like all the savory types of pancakes. Like I've had them before, but I'm a sucker for like a traditional pancake with sugar, and that's it. That's it. Nothing more from me. Next question. How would a snowman look like if you build one? It's been so long since I built a snowman, man. It's probably gonna be like the stereotypical one. I don't know. I never thought about it. These deep questions, Derek. It would probably be like the stereotypical one, to be honest. It's like the three little spheres on top of each other. Maybe some buttons, stones for buttons. I don't know if we bring a carrot. Maybe we put a stick as a nose or something. Okay, let's go into the next question. We still have a couple of questions from Derek, and we're gonna dig into those later. I want to sprinkle them in between. Next question from Edric. What resources do environment artists use to identify specific plants when creating foliage? It's probably going to be Google, honestly. Just looking for specific plants online. I don't know if there is something. There is something like. I don't know if you guys heard about What the Font, but it's basically you can take a picture of a font that you're looking for, upload it to the site, and it will reverse engineer what you're doing. I think there's tools like that for specific plants as well. But most of the time when I was working on foliage, it would just like the research was already done when I came into the foliage team. But if we wanted to create like new bits of foliage, we would just look online for specific regional trees or like regional bushes that we could. So it would start with like a really generic thing, like I don't know, African foliage or like African trees, and then we would just scour the pictures and then look for like interesting shapes and then try to find out the name of those. And most of the time, if you start looking for that kind of stuff, it will link you to like a generic or like a more known name, and then you can use that again in Google to become more and more specific over time. Because I think, what was it, the marula tree? Was it the marula? I forget, it's so long ago. It's yeah, that's a tree where elephants love it because they get drunk off the fruits. And that was just one thing of like just scouring like random bits of foliage in like the African plains, and then landing on like quirky little bits of information of that, and then just modeling the tree that was responsible for getting elephants drunk, basically. So yeah, nothing really special. Like well, I mentioned this yesterday to some people in the chat, in our community chat, where a lot of the research, like the initial research when you're working on a project, has already been done by the point that you're gonna go into production. There's obviously still um, there's obviously still things that you need to figure out for yourself or like do some additional research on. But most projects, they already have like they do like research trips in the beginning of projects to see what kind of environments they want to set it in, what kind of bits of foliage, and just thousands and thousands of pictures taken by probably like the art directors and game directors, like all the higher up people. They do they do like a research trip in the beginning, and then in most times they build like an art bible from that, where they say like, oh, we're gonna use these kinds of foliage because they have like this kind of silhouette, and they might not like other bits of foliage for like other kinds of silhouettes, if we're talking about like foliage specifically, right? What kind of job do I need to get? Yeah, you need to be pretty high up. To be pretty high up, I think. Well, thinking back at what we did at Frontier, like there was like a small research trip where we basically went to a zoo, and We did that with like the entire company, or like the entire team that was working on that game. So you have the opportunity to like self-organize these trips as well, if they help research for the project that you're working on. So I wouldn't say it's exclusive to like the art directors, but if we're talking about like the initial phases where they're building the identity of the world that they're going to create, it's definitely going to be the art directors, game directors, and all the people that are really high up and just responsible for setting the game's vision. Also, depends on the size of studio, right? If you're working in a small studio, everyone's going to go on a scouting trip, probably. But the scouting trips are probably not going to be as elaborate as you would see in AAA companies. This is my assumption, right? They might be. Who knows? It's a good question, though. But yeah, no real specific resources that we use to identify plans. Most of the time, it is just that, like to just wrap it up, right? It's just looking in really broad terms on Google, finding the stuff that you like, nailing in on that one, finding a specific name, and then like really honing in on that specific name. It's just like you narrow your search like over time to just like specific plans. Like even if I'm doing research for my own projects, I will look at like specific names and I'll save them in like a document that I'm building up with like my references. Most of the time this is just pure ref and I just add like a little text box that just says like, oh, this like a monkey leaf. I'm just naming something, right? Like the monkey leaf monstera, where I just add that and then you have like a couple of pictures underneath it. They just give you like an indication of what it looks like. But then if I save that name, I can always look up more references if needed. But this also applies to like other bits, not only Foliage, where if you find like specific things for like the medieval ages, that the project that I'm working on right now is more medieval, right? So if I find like specific names, I will save them in that document as well. And then whenever I need more, or if I'm unsure why I saved that name, I'll just look it up and then be inspired again. So that applies for like everything. All right. Next question is from Anonymous. Let me just make sure that we delete the previous responses. There we go. Okay. In your experience, are there any tells in people and or their work that suggest you that they won't make it as an environment artist or general game dev in the long run? Well, yeah, definitely. Um, there are definitely tells. This is a tricky topic though, and I know where this question is coming from, because I think a lot of people are concerned that they struggle with this feeling themselves, where they've been working on personal work for like a long time, and then when they start applying, like they don't get any of the results that they were expecting. So I don't know, it's a tricky one. But anyway, about any tells, just playing way too much video games. I know that it sounds like counterintuitive, but like maybe it's not video games, but like prioritizing your time, where you need to make a switch from seeing it as a reward instead of just playing too many games. Like if you're serious about getting into the industry, right, it's gonna demand some time from you. Um, and I think, well, this is more like a stereotypical statement, right? But when I went to university, there were a lot of people that were just there because they thought that game dev was making or like playing games, and it's totally not that. it's actually pretty tough to get into, especially as an environment artist, to just learn all the art and then get good at it too. Like it takes a serious amount of dedication, and it works. It's probably way more fluent for other people than some other people. But I really had to fight for it. Like it didn't come natural to me, I think. Um, let's have a look, right? Because in the beginning of this sentence, you mention people or their work, but I'm thinking that it's more down to the people than their actual work, because the work is just the end result of what the person puts in, right? Um, yeah, this might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but just never finishing anything. That's probably also like a big one, and like flipping between ideas a little bit too much. And this is not to say that they won't make it in the games industry, right? It's just in that case specifically, it's just delaying what you're working for. And I know you're gonna have these moments where you don't want to do the stuff that you're about to do, or you hit that part of the project that you really don't enjoy. Think about solutions for it. Like if you really don't enjoy it, then maybe ask someone else to do it, or find other ways to like speed it up for yourself. This could be anything, right? This could be creating um, like reusable assets, for example, like speeding up the workflow of your next project. If you create like generic props, there's no reason to recreate generic props for the next scene if you can reuse them, right? Depends on the kind of setting that you're building as an environment artist. Um, yeah, this is a good question. Hmm. Trying to think. What else? So what did we have before? We talked about not dedicating your time basically, or getting distracted with stuff that's non-essential to your personal growth. I do want to come back to that point though, because I do play games myself, but it is hmm, how should I say it? It's more it's more a treat for me. Like I don't endlessly play games. Like even if I were to play, like even I'm hooked now at on Cyberpunk. Like there's like a couple of hours that I can play, and then I'm just like, okay, like I've had enough relaxation. Like I just realized that I just need to get back to work. And that's not only because there's like pressure to create like the next thing for my portfolio, because that's not really it in my case, right? And that's the case for a lot of people out there right now listening to this. But in my case, it's more about I love creating more than playing games. And that took me a while to get to this point where, especially in the early stages, I was always confused between the two. Especially in what I like the most between the two. But now that I'm, uh, how would I say it? Like a little bit more experienced, I would say. I enjoy the creation part way more than I actually enjoy the playing part. So that's why I can play. I don't think I can play like a game for an entire day, but I can work on like an environment for an entire day easily. Yeah, work life balance is a hard one to crack, for sure, man. It is, because this is the issue with statements like this, right? Like I can say that you shouldn't be getting distracted, and you should be finishing stuff. But if you there's like situations where you just can't, right? Like if you work like 12 hours a day, for example, and you're getting home and then you're trying to spend like another 4 hours just working on stuff, that might not be a healthy way of doing it. You might just need to take it a little bit slower, work for like maybe a half an hour to like an hour each day, maybe, if you can manage that, and then just chill for the rest of the evening because you gotta work like 12 hours a day during the week, right? So that's like a totally different scenario. Um, but if we're purely talking about a won't make it as an environment artist or game dev in general, I don't think they're. I'm a believer that anyone can make it. It's just about the time that you put into it yourself. And if you're, this is probably the most important part. If you're true to yourself and you really enjoy what you love to do, and you really enjoy like the creation part of environment art, and you love figuring out like little problems that you come up with, and you're trying to create your own little worlds, like your own little stories within them, and that's the thing you really enjoy, then I do think you have everything that you need to take it, well, to make it. But it might just take a little bit of time because everyone's timeline is a little bit different. So yeah, I hope it helped. Like, I truly mean that though. Like when I say that everyone can make it if they wanted to, that is like 100% my belief. But you gotta put the time in yourself. You gotta make it work. Like there's no one else that can make it work except for you. You need to put the time in. It's a really good question though, even though it was anonymous. Um. So yeah. Hey Zeku, welcome. It is a tough one though, but that's probably like the best thing I can say. And I'm here to help everyone. Like that's why I'm here. Like if I can help out with anything, just shoot a message, send me a portfolio, whatever. I'll do my best to help out. Even though I might not be that responsive on like social media these days anymore. All right, so we still had like two random questions from Derek, right? And then we'll dive into the chat questions. Recommend me a Christmas movie. Oh God, I'm probably the worst one for that because I barely watch any movies. I think when I started streaming, I was telling everyone that I still needed to watch Parasite, and we haven't done so still. So yeah, I'm running a bit behind. What about Home Alone though? Come on, it's just like a cliche movie, right? That's the only thing. That's the best thing I can think of. And have you thought about 3D printing for personal projects? Um, yeah, actually, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to print though. Hey, Derek, we just got to. Well, I sprinkled your questions in between the chat, and we're just getting to the last one now. So have you thought of 3D printing for personal projects? Right. I have, but it's. I always get to this point where I love creating full environments, so I'm pretty unsure what to build with them or like what to print. I think the closest thing would be to create like some D&D set or like some Warhammer set, right? Like where you print out the individual modules and then build like a bigger thing with it. But I'm not interested in like the painting part, so that would fall off. Um, yeah, I heard some pretty crazy stories yesterday about people selling their prints for like some crazy stuff. Could totally print and sell this stuff. Yeah, I'll need to look into it. I looked into it when 3D printing was just coming out. I was really interested in just like when it was opening up like this whole new thing. But I haven't looked into it since. I'll need to pick it up. there were some people in the community like posting the 3D printers that they got recently. So that's like a good way of starting, I guess. And they're getting more affordable too. So it would be cool. Maybe. All right, cool. So let me double check if we had any more questions. Let's check the anonymous questionnaire. I don't think we had any more questions in that one. No, we're all good for this week. Awesome. Some Home Alone shit talk. Nah, I'm not shit talking. I'm just really bad when it comes to movies, honestly. Oh man, you're full in Christmas spirit. Okay, anyway, we went through the questions from the community, right? So now I'll just go through like the questions from chat. And then so if you have any questions, just post them in the chat and we'll go through it. Let's have a look. Just in the cyberpunk slump. Oh yeah. Dude, it's such a good game. Sketchy Mike escape from prison, that's why. What? Oh god. Okay, I guess we'll have to answer this. My first question is, how are you so goddamn handsome? I don't know. I got some good parents. Let's put it up to that. I haven't tested anything yet though, so it might be an easy fix, but when using modular meshes, I notice when they intersect, it affects the light bake. So a mesh in the full light could be darker than it should be. Is there any fix for that? When they intersect. You might have to look into like the amount of light bounces that you're doing with your bake. Like it's in the world settings. In the world settings, light mask settings, there's like a bunch of stuff that you can adjust to create like more light bake, more rays, like more rays being cast in your light bake. But a mesh in full light that is darker than it should be, it sounds like it could be like a resolution kind of thing. So have a look into the world settings. I don't know if you've done so already. It's like fucking mid-poly hype. It's very daunting because I did it first on the technical side. Once you get it down, like Tim said, it's a lot of fun to make stuff with your trim sheet. Oh yeah, this is Ryan talking about like his last Star Citizen fan art, which is looking really good, man. Really good. What job position do I need? Have a look. Do you think there is a benefit to shorter projects as opposed to long month upon month environments? Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. It depends on what you wanna show off too. Because this is what I keep mentioning to other people, right? It's, you have to, if you're working towards a portfolio that you want to show off for getting into the industry, you have to look at it as like, what is this portfolio gonna add in the eyes of the people that are gonna hire me? That's how you should have a look at it. Oh shit! A gifted sub. This is the first one, man. Damn, thanks, Dirk. I'm trendsetter. But yeah, you have to see it as projects catering to your portfolio and then to the people that are hiring you, right? So, um, what I would say here is that there's definitely a benefit to doing shorter projects. Um, it just depends on what you're trying to show off, right? So, for example, if you do like a small diorama that is just like really detailed with like a lot of smaller props and really into like the narrative storytelling. For example, I keep going back to like the stereotypical thing of like a detective's desk that is just his work desk and it has like a bottle of booze on it, and his work is not really super organized. You can tell that he's not like the normal cop, right? Just coming in, doing the work, being all happy. Like he's like a detective with some issues. If you create like a scene like that, that's gonna show off that you're really interested in environmental storytelling, and that you really wanna nail like how you're gonna present that story to the people, to the people playing like your environments or like looking at them. Whereas if you do like these larger, massive projects that do like a fair chunk of like open world terrain, and they have like all these different aspects, like, oh, I need to create trees, I need to create rocks, I need to look into how you create like a good looking terrain with like erosion and like the correct leading of like water down like a river, and you're building splines for that, then we're talking about something completely different that you're showing towards your potential future job. Then you're more interested in just the terrain and like the set dressing of or like the creation aspect of worlds, where you're showing off that you want to work on terrain, you want to work on like these massive chunks of land, and you want to sculpt terrain, and you're interested in how erosion patterns work. um, So I would definitely think about what you're trying to say with your art when it comes to like the hiring manager, your future hiring manager. Because like the length of the project doesn't really matter in that case. It's more about like how you pull it off and how you you convey yourself. It's all about the quality in the end, really. What if you care about all those things? That's a good that's a good question though. Oh, my lights. I'll just go. I'll go take them on in a sec. Um, but yeah, what if you care about all those things? I mean, then you're getting into like a territory like me, right? Because that's basically what I love to do. I love to create like all these aspects. Um, but then you have to realize that you have to condense it somehow. If you wanna create portfolio pieces in a reasonable amount of time, then you have to, in most cases, cut corners. Maybe use trees from Speed Tree. You're not gonna create like a tree from scratch. So, or maybe you don't have the time to create like a tree from scratch. So yeah, I think if you care about all those things and you're really honest about that, then you should definitely try, and even in that case, definitely try to pick things to improve upon. Because if you look at my portfolio, like the forest scene, for example, that was like purely focused on foliage. But when I had all the pieces, I created like a bigger environment out of it. And then the next scene that I built was more focused on hard surface, like raw modularity in like terms of like the assets that I was building. So that's like, even if you look at those two things, like I still create like full environments, but they serve like a completely different purpose, and they're more focused in what they do, because there was barely any foliage in the other scene because it was a factory setting. So even then, you can still nail it down a little bit, or like condense it as much as possible. Yeah, Cairo, this is a really good question. Thanks for the question, man. But just if we go back to your question, just the benefit, right? The benefit of shorter projects is that you can churn out more of them, and that you can fill up your portfolio quicker. And if you look at the raw quality output, it can still be as good as the bigger environments. So there's no real difference when it comes to like the quality output. It's just like the amount that you're getting. Let's have a look. So yeah, I really appreciate the question, Caro. Really good one. Oh shit, emote spam. Emote spam means you made it on Twitch. Oh, I made it on Twitch, damn. Yeah, no worries, Caro. Happy to help. What is up this morning? Chase. More effort for me to scroll through. Ah, that's alright. That's all good. What has been your main focus and interest at the moment? Oh god, that's a really good question. Anything specific? So, my focus at the moment is definitely the Beyond Extend community. If we're talking about the Beyond Extend community and my personal work are definitely like the two biggest things. So yeah, those are definitely like the two biggest things that I'm currently focusing on. Especially just letting go of like always trying to create something for my portfolio, and just having fun with the stuff that I create again. Just rediscovering that, for example. So yeah, my main focus at the moment, if we're talking about like my personal work, is creating an asset library that I can reuse and build upon for the future. That was probably like the biggest focus that I've done in the last couple of months, where it's like organizing and working more smartly, to be honest. Like just working with more trim sheets, like trying to optimize like the reusability between projects. Do anything specific? Yeah, I think that's the most specific part. And when it comes to Beyond Extend, just helping people out, that's been a big focus too. And then we have like smaller things on the site, right, where we're doing the challenge, and I'm creating like a little scene for people to present like their little trinkets in, which is gonna look really awesome. And then the weekly blog that I'm doing too. But I would say that those are not really the focus anymore, because those are more like the smaller things on the side. Let's have a look. The Christmas spirit at it again. Oh yeah. Well, talking about my lights, right, Derek? We have like a Christmas tree like right behind me, but it's not lit up at the moment. I don't think you can barely see it. You can barely see it. You can see it on the edge of my screen, like the left edge. You can see like a bunch of things. Let's have a look. Have another question regarding Cyberpunk. Are you using the photo mode at all? Oh yeah, like all the photos that you see in the background, that's all stuff that I took. So yeah, I'm enjoying the photo mode in that game, man. The game looks so good. I mean, you can barely see anything of the background because like we're all on top of it, right? But man, the game is so pretty. And yeah, those shots, I haven't clicked on the link yet, but I think that I know what, yeah, like It's the person from DICE, right? These shots are so good. The game looks so good, man. I'm really enjoying Cyberpunk. Really enjoying it. Yeah, Janus, India. What do you think of Cyberpunk? Yeah, it's we do like a podcast about it too, right? I mean, not like a Cyberpunk specifically, more like game dev in general. But the last recording that we did yesterday is going up in like a couple of days, and we talked 2 hours about just how good Cyberpunk is and like how I am enjoying it so much. It's also because I'm playing on PC, right? It looks so good on PC, and it's probably like the most immersive game that I've played in a while, where I can get lost in it for like a couple of hours and then not realize that it's already like way too late. And that's been ages since I had that feeling. Ages. I think the last time I had that was when Fallout 4 came out, and before that Skyrim, but that's it. Um Brent Cashkell. Why is Riot Games the best company? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Assassin's Creed is a great game from Ubisoft. I don't know about any others. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed too. I didn't play them for the longest time. And I think I tried the first one, wasn't really a big fan of it. And then I tried Origins, and that was only recently. Like, I didn't play it when it came out. So yeah, I played Origins, and then after that I was like, they're building some pretty interesting worlds. And then I was really enjoying AC Valhalla as well. But I think for me it just comes down to like always the same thing, right? Like, it's just at some point it just turns into like a checklist that you're doing. At least it feels to me that way. Even if they did their best with like trying to avoid that, like it always comes down to that. I don't know. It maybe, well, especially if you're comparing it with like Cyberpunk, right? Like, Cyberpunk is so out there, it's so new, it's not too, you can't really compare it with something else that's out there on the market right now. So yeah, I don't have the feeling that I can completely get lost in like Valhalla. Maybe in like the entry, like the initial moments, I did have that feeling for a bit, but then it quickly faded out as well. So yeah. You prefer Valhalla over Cyberpunk? Or over Origins or any other Assassin's Creed game? Over Cyberpunk. Yeah, that's totally fair. This is the thing, this is not a battle, right? What you prefer doesn't mean that or what I prefer doesn't need to mean that you have to prefer it too. I think Valhalla is a really good game. It looks really pretty though. I had fun going around and taking pictures. Such a good job with nailing the vibe in it. Yeah, so for anyone in the chat, feel free to just add questions if you're wondering about something. Right? It can be anything. Just ask me any questions that you want. What's my Sunday breakfast? Um, what is it? I just had some Cocoa Pops and that's it. I wasn't really doing anything fancy today. Sometimes I'll make like scrambled eggs, like some bacon or something. Cocoa. Oh shit. Is the upgrade from Toolbag 3 to Toolbag 4 worth it? That's a good question, because I haven't used Toolbag in ages. It's not something that I personally use. From what I've seen, oh no, I'm probably getting it confused. I'm probably getting it confused with the new Substance. Oh no. Because with the new ray tracing features, right? That's the thing that I was thinking of. Like, it speeds up your baking process so much. Apparently it's like super quick. But I don't have like an RTX card at this point, so I don't get the full benefit from that yet. So I would say if you have like an RTX card, it might be worth looking into it. And if you're baking like a lot of stuff, right? But yeah. Oh, same. No RTX card. Well, then I don't think it's worth upgrading just yet. There must be some other features in there, but I haven't looked at it, to be honest. Do Xbox and PlayStation use the same coding language? If we're talking about like the code that is built by the programmers, it's all C++, right? So in that term, yes, it is the same coding language. What? Derek, with another gifted sub. Oh, dude. Thanks, man. Happy Christmas. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, that's so awesome. Yeah, man. Enjoy the travel and stay safe. Mentioning Substance, any opinions on Substance Alchemist? I don't really understand what it is for. It's like Quixel Mixer, but with Substance textures. Yeah, I haven't tried it myself, but that's exactly what I think it does. It's basically, yeah, just Quixel Mixer for Substance. So yeah, I don't think I can say anything about it because I haven't dug into it myself, really. So that's, you know what, that's probably something I'll look into, because it's been a while since I tried something new. Just have a look at it at least. Let me make a note of it. Gotta stay a little bit up to date, right? So Marmoset 4 and Substance Alchemist. Awesome. Oh, Jacob says that you can texture in it now in Marmoset. Oh, that's true. Yeah. You know what? If that is the case, well, it is the case, and I'm not saying that I don't believe you, but it might become a competitor to Substance then, right? Because a lot of people are hesitant with the acquisition of Substance by Adobe. And like, if they're gonna start, well, they're already starting to pull their tricks, and you're really keen on getting like all the latest updates, maybe Marmoset might be something for you then. Mostly want the multiple viewports. It's annoying in Toolbag 3. Yeah, honestly, I haven't used it in the longest time, because when I was using Toolbag 3, I don't think it even was Toolbag 3 when I was using it. It must be like an older version even. And I think I even lost my license in like a transition to like the new version, because I've always, well, the experience that I had with it was kind of clunky back then, but I'm sure that they've updated it in like some severe ways. Awesome. Let's have a look. Do we have any more questions in the community? I don't think so. All right. If anyone else has a question, feel free to just drop it in the chat. We can talk about it. If not, then that's fine too. That's all good. Oh, I got something new that I need to get into today too. I need to make some time and actually go into this thing. I got the new book from Simon Stalenhag. Oh shit. So that's actually something I'll need to dig into today. Just go through it and read it. I think I might start doing something like that on the stream. Just like announcing the books that I've read or something. Alright, but anyway, I'm gonna leave this episode here, right? It was super awesome for all your support, especially Derek, right? And then all the follows. And all the good questions too. I really appreciate it. So if you're wondering, like I'm doing this every week. So if you have any more questions, you can always drop by next week and just ask more questions. But for now, I'm off. So thanks everyone for hanging out and asking the questions. And I'm happy to help. So I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!